I'm wearing red today because I wanted to show my support for Donald Trump when I went for my walk, though I am the one who's running for president because Donald Trump sadly died on November the 4th. And Zach Knight said that I was winning and that he suggested I compose a presidential acceptance speech, so that's what this is. Um, First, I'd like to have a moment of silence to remember those who died on November 4th, 2016. Let's just bow our heads and just have a moment of silence for them. On that day, the real Donald Trump and the real Hillary Clinton, because of the influence of the evil Antichrist Angelina Ballerina, died. Those of you who follow me online know that Angelina Ballerina used her brain control at a Trump rally in Ohio and was able to use her evil cohorts, Hillary Clinton, Huma Abedin, and Alicia Machado, aka Miss Piggy, to brain rape Donald Trump so that he actually enjoyed being raped and violated with dildos by Hillary, Huma, and Miss Piggy. Donald Trump had invited all of those at Church of Gail, including the almost 200 men on my marriage list, to the Ohio rally. This included Vladimir Putin. When Vladimir saw what was happening, he became furious and foresaw that if he did not do something soon, that the United States would end up with either a brain-controlled Donald Trump or a criminal homicidal maniac Hillary Clinton for a president. So Vladimir launched a nuclear bomb, a type of mercy killing, and millions died in the rally, and only about 6 or 7 survived, including Vladimir Putin, Brent Spiner, Zach Knight, who was the former Jesuit leader and former Antichrist, and I believe also FBI Director Comey and Julian Assange. The rest, millions, died. At the time, I was a Trump supporter and voted for him in early voting in Florida. What happened there is not what we wanted. But apparently Vladimir saw no other way to stop what he foresaw would be a tragedy for the world. Brent Spiner wrote me a letter to let me know what happened and recommended I tell my followers to vote for me as US president. I'll be honest with you in that I would rather be a writer than a president. But when I saw the perilous situation our nation would be in without my leadership, I had no choice but to take the job. I guess I'm kind of like Abraham Lincoln in that I don't take this job for the glory of it, and I most certainly will not be getting a president's salary, and I won't be living in the White House. But I do care about this country because it's a very important country in terms of world influence, and it matters very much how it is led. My number one priority right now is to defeat the evil Antichrist Angelina Ballerina, who is already responsible for the deaths and rapes of millions, and who has brain raped Matthew McConaughey, Gerard Butler, Judge Terrence Jenkins, and Hugh Jackman, stating that her goal is to acquire all the men on my marriage list as her sex slaves. Though she calls them her husbands. The good news is because all the men on my marriage list died in the Ohio Trump rally, she will not be able to reach her goal to acquire all the men on my marriage list as her sex slaves, or husbands as she calls them. It will be easier for us to defeat her now that she's not able to do this. Hillary Clinton used to be one of my supporters, but I think her fame and money got to her head and she became evil. The real Barack Obama tragically was murdered by Jesuits in 2012. Jesus Christ replaced him with an automaton, but unfortunately, that automaton has turned evil. We have learned that it's better to have a righteous human being than an automaton for a US president. I used to think that Hillary was murdered around June 2016 and replaced with a clone or automaton, but I just found out from Zach Knight that we've had the real Hillary Clinton all along. I'm very disappointed to report to you that she turned evil, and when she died on November 4th, that was probably a good thing for the country. As far as Donald Trump's death, that I feel was a bit of a tragedy. I believe he had a good heart and wanted to be the president that would serve the people and not the Jesuit elite and globalists who presently are under the leadership of evil Antichrist Angelina Ballerina. So I feel a bit sad even now over his death. As you all know, we have used a Donald Trump automaton and Hillary Clinton automaton to take their place in the mainstream media in order to prevent mass panic. I have noticed that the Hillary Clinton automaton seems contaminated by Angelina Ballerina. And so I'm happy to hear that Donald Trump, actually me, has won the election in the mainstream media. I am very concerned about the rise in prices for those on Obamacare, and one of the first things that I will do as your president will be to replace Obamacare with my national health care plan. This will be a government-funded health care plan that will be voluntary and competitive with the markets. But it will be such a good deal that everybody will want to join. Pre-existing conditions will not penalize you, and you can also get coverage for many forms of alternative medicine like chiropractic and acupuncture and over-the-counter medications that are effective for treating conditions. I have set it up so that doctors run it, as I feel they would know best how to run a healthcare plan. We have already implemented it and have saved a lot of money, and everybody, the doctors and the patients, love it. You will no longer have to worry about skyrocketing premiums, nor will you have to worry about losing your health insurance. Everybody can be covered, and the poor will get it for free or very little money. I have published my conspiracy law at my website. For those of you who want to know how this healthcare plan works, visit my website at gabrielchana.com/law. CLG2 Final HTM. I will have a link for that underneath this video. Read section 55 of my Conspiracy Laws and Government Part 2. And I'm going to have a transcript of this speech underneath this video, and just visit the links to read my legislation. Regarding my economic policies, I plan to install Vladimir Putin, who has a PhD in economics, as the head of my economic policy department. He will also be in charge of our military along with Zach Knight. These two people have deep knowledge of space technology and will assure that our military is up to speed with the latest in technology and that we implement military policies that will be effective against Jesuit terrorism. Vladimir Putin is on my marriage list and is a good man. He has been my brain-to-brain lover since 2003, and I know him intimately. I do not like war, but if we must go to war, I want to be sure that we fight our true enemies and that we go in to win. I will not drag our country into wars for political advantage, but only to defend our freedoms, and will honor our soldiers and make sure our veterans and military are taken care of. I agree with Donald Trump about this. I have a very good relationship with many countries in the world, including North Korea, China, and many countries that are not what you think. Our mainstream news media lies to you about many things. Our greatest military threat right now is Angelina Ballerina, the evil Jesuit leader and Antichrist. It's not Russia or North Korea. Regarding Israel, I am a Bible-believing Christian and have the genetic profile of King David and Catherine the Great. I believe we should stand behind Israel, and I do not believe that it's a good idea for the Palestinians to have a separate state next to Israel. I think we should establish a state for them far away from Israel, or they must learn how to live peaceably with the Israelis inside the Israeli territory. We should stand behind Israel in her fight against terrorism on her borders. I am also against anti-Semitism, which is real, and thoroughly condemn it. I do not want Angelina Ballerina's Jesuits to use this separate state as a launching pad to attack Israel. I also feel Barack Obama was foolish to give all that money he just gave to Iran. I must say I have been very disappointed in him lately. Because I am somewhat blocked from being a normal US president, I will use the Donald Trump automaton to make a lot of appearances for me. I'm glad that he has won the election in the mainstream media, because the real Donald, when alive, I believe, planned to enforce my conspiracy law. As far as the police, I totally condemn the attacks against the police officers which have been rampant lately. I am sure many of them do not feel safe on their jobs. On the other hand, many blacks have been unfairly targeted by the police. We shall investigate each situation that comes up, and justice will be served. My conspiracy law uses mind and emotion reads to determine innocence and guilt, and it is very accurate. We judge by motives more than by actions. So the law is very just. I would like to say that though I registered Republican to vote for Donald Trump in the Florida primary, that I am a libertarian at heart, kind of like an independent. My number one emphasis as U.S. leader is to assure that we retain our freedoms and autonomy. I do not plan on babysitting the American people like a big brother. On the other hand, our economy is a mess, and I do not like homelessness and have laws to help the homeless and to assure that everybody can get health care. I agree with Trump that we need to lower taxes and have less government control over the people. I will let Vladimir Putin make final decisions about this. Donald Trump will have some autonomy as my vice president, though he will be called the president in the mainstream media. But he cannot pass any legislation or take any actions that affect the country without getting permission and approval from either me, Vladimir Putin, or Zach Knight. I will be working as a team with Vladimir Putin and Zach Knight to rule this country. Vladimir and I have worked together to implement conspiracy law in Russia and have had very good results there. I pretty much agree with much of what Donald Trump wanted to do, and he will be able to do most of the things he promised you when he was running for office. I will not get in his way. Regarding a wall and immigration, I don't think it's that big a deal if we have a wall, because illegals can get into the country using tunnels or Star Trek-like transporter technology. But I'm not against a wall, and it could be helpful to keep the brazen illegals out so Donald can build his wall. It sends a message that we won't tolerate illegals in our country. But the criteria that I will use to determine who is an illegal will be scanning technology, which uses brain reads that determine a person's ideology. So if a person has a terrorist mindset, they will be considered an illegal even if they are currently an American citizen. They will lose their citizenship if they have a terrorist mindset, and if they are in our country, could very well be executed. Our mind and emotion reads are very accurate and the most just way to determine who is an illegal. I don't think we should send all illegals, the way they're currently defined, back to their countries unless they have a terrorist mindset. So I'm not into doing a deportation force. We will deport even American citizens if they are terrorists, or even better, execute them. With our mind reads, we can determine with great accuracy who is a terrorist. Terrorists won't want to come here if they know they'll be executed. That is a very effective strategy. For those who want to know my policies in depth, you are welcome to go to my website, www.gabrielchana.com, and peruse my conspiracy law, of which I am the author, along with Vladimir Putin. He has given me much of the intelligence information I use to write the law. My conspiracy law is the law in Russia. The Donald Trump automaton will be my spokesperson and main communicator to the American people, and I will be advising him in the background. I believe Donald Trump from heaven is looking on and smiling. He will be ruling America through me from heaven. Regarding Hillary Clinton's emails, I know Donald said he would prosecute her after he came to office. I think this may be a good idea. We don't want the Hillary automaton to get uppity and claim that Russia rigged this election, which is absurd. We need to prove to the people that we justly won this election and that she is a criminal who never, ever should have run for office. What she did to Donald Trump in the Ohio Trump rally was disgusting. She raped him in the most vulgar and humiliating way. Regarding gay marriage, I will not overturn the recent rulings in the states that have legalized gay marriage, but I will leave the decision over whether to legalize gay marriage up to the states. I am not against gay marriage, nor am I against homosexuals or lesbians. However, I don't feel it's right for gays or lesbians to force their lifestyles on those who oppose it, and churches and businesses should feel free to handle gays how they want without government interference. Regarding abortion, I believe that abortion should only be done in cases where the woman's health or life is at stake, or if the woman is a victim of rape or incest. Jesus has plans for these babies and does not want the abortions. Jesus and I are best friends, and I try to do what he wants. On the other hand, I am a big believer in freedom and do not believe in forcing religion down anybody's throat, though I myself am a Jesus Christ follower. I'm a big believer in freedom, and am concerned that many of our religious liberties are dying. I feel the government should stay out of religion and let the churches, mosques, and religious organizations conduct themselves how they want without government interference, unless these groups prove to be terrorists, as determined by our mind and emotion reads. I have Democrats, Libertarians, and Republicans as my dearest friends. It's time for the nation to heal and come together. I think we all can agree that we need great health care, a great military, religious freedom, respect for the police, respect for the Black community, respect for those in poverty, and respect for freedom. This is what I stand for. Thank you for electing me. I shall do all in my power to protect this great nation and ensure that we retain our freedoms and liberties and that we begin to have some economic prosperity. I go to Jesus for guidance all the time. Thank you again. And don't forget, you have King David and Catherine the Great leading your great nation now. God bless you, and God bless the USA. Liberty has won today.